It's Q4. Everyone should be excited, right? Except for you. And here's why. Because you're concerned that the pipeline that you have doesn't seem like it's going to get you over the top. Or perhaps you do have enough in the pipeline, but now you're thinking about what's going to be like in Q1 after these deals go through. Well, whatever you are on the spectrum, today we're going to give you the best game plan that you can tackle when it comes towards your pipeline in Q4. Ooh, we're going to help you to win some deals, baby. You're going to love this one. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, I have two amazing guests that you're just going to absolutely love. Emily Davidson and Mike Montague. Now, both of these individuals work with Sandler Sales Training organization. And if any of you know me, I've had Dave Mattson on. He was the CEO of current CEO of this Sandler organization. Now, the cool thing with this is like a full 180, 360 coming back. I got a chance to go through Sandler Sales Training when I first started off in my B2B sales career, and it absolutely helped me just skyrocket. We talk a little bit about that in the episode, but the principles that they teach are very fundamentals and very fundamental, and I think you're going to appreciate that as well. In this conversation today, we talk about what they're doing to make sure that what sellers can do to make sure that it maximize Q4. How can they ensure that they're getting with the right people and focusing on the right deals, and how to make sure you're closing. And if you do have enough deals and things are looking pretty well, what can you do to make sure that you're getting those, getting prepared for Q1? This was a fun episode. Actionable things, and I want you to take some notes and apply them. As we dive in, you get a chance to learn a little bit about their role and why I feel that they're so credible for this conversation, and then we go straight into the tactics. It's good. Check it out. Welcome to the show. So excited to have you guys. Emily, Mike, appreciate you guys being here.
So great to be here live at Inbound. That's awesome.
I know.
Yes, it's a super exciting day. I feel like everywhere I go, the energy is infectious.
And, I'm going to be a groupie right now. So I think I told you guys on a pre-call that Sandler was the first formal sales training that I went through. And I remember right when I got done with one of my first training programs, I was a software sales rep. And I remember closing the deal. It was around $30K. And I was like, man, this stuff works. This is money.
You got it down.
We had a tagline, Sandler Works, but Sandler was actually my first sales training too. But
It was?
I was a sophomore in high school because my dad was a Sandler trainer. So I had nothing to sell. I was selling candy bars for the Boy Scouts or something. But I thought this stuff was really cool. I want to dive into it.
It's so cool. Well, we're really excited to have you guys. I bragged about you guys a little bit in the teaser. And this is what makes this episode so amazing, is because we're going to tackle some of the concepts and challenges that you all are seeing on a day-to-day basis. And right now, specifically in Q4, many of us are looking at, I got October, I got November, I got December, and everybody's trying to go on vacation in December. And Thanksgiving is coming up, and your year seems like it's already done. However, there are people that are going to take off and do really well. And there are going to be people who find themselves in a quagmire, don't know what to do. So I really want to get your insights on that, because we know it worked. Y'all got some insights, some data.
The magic sauce.
I want to hear the magic sauce.
I want to share some of that.
But I want to paint that picture right now. Emily, and you help me out with that. Like, think about the challenges that the average BDR is facing right now, or AE going into Q4. Mike, what are some of the challenges you see right now happening in preparation as we go into Q4?
Absolutely. Well, I can say as we go into Q4, some of those common challenges, anxieties that you're really facing as a BDR is thinking about, how do I prioritize? How do I make the most of the months that I have left? How do I really look at my accounts list and start thinking, which ones do I keep? Which ones do I focus on? And again, making the most out of that time in that final push.
Yeah.
There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of overwhelming thoughts of everything you need to get done between now and December. And it's really one of those times where you want to just pause and think about, how do you most strategically spend these next few months?
Yeah, I think several things happen. Number one is, if you've already hit quota, Q4 is fun. This is like, let's hit the bonus, let's make some money. People are leaving, it's all fine, right? If you haven't hit the number, each passing month becomes more tense, or you've already given up. You were like, in June, we knew we weren't hitting this number this year. We're already prospecting for next year, and that's okay too, I think one of the problems that people make is they empty their funnel in Q4. They're like, we're just going to get everything we can, close everything, and then they start January with a fresh pipeline with nobody in it because they just tried to clear everybody through. So one of our big lessons really is to like keep pushing, keep prospecting, and fill that funnel even for Q1 while you're in Q4. Otherwise, you can get this big up and down.
So we have two right now. We have the glass is full, and the glass it ain't getting full.
Not between now and December, anyway.
We got those two. So how do we best go about this? And there's some of the challenges that are out there too, where some folks there. I mean, the Fed. Whenever you're watching this, the Fed a couple days ago just cut rates of 5 basis points or 50 basis points.
Right.
So there's some to see some light, some things that are improving, but folks are still some ways conservative with the way that they're spending. They're trying to maximize the yield from everything that they have. So with those challenges that are ahead, all of these things lined up, how can I, as a sales rep, go into the quarter? We can focus on the ones that they ain't gonna make nothing, and we can talk about some of the ones that things are good for them already. So let's
if you're closer, things are good. I have a few thoughts.
Yeah.
We were just talking that in our business in sales training, Q4 is a big time. You, like I said, you've either hit your number or you haven't. If you haven't hit your number, you're like, we better do something to make sure we do next time, or tell our bosses that we're investing in sales training so we hit the number next year. If you have,
you can find a Sandler link in the show notes.
Exactly. If you have hit your number, you're thinking, oh, this is awesome. I have money to invest. We can reinvest in this team, hire some new salespeople. All that's great. I say that because a lot of industries are seasonal. If you sell to construction companies, they're going into their winter down season where they can make some investments. They're flush with cash. They're just coming off a busy summer. There's other industries where if you sell to accountants or something like that, they're like, we're coming up on tax time. I can't talk to you until like the third quarter next year.
Exactly,
like you missed it, right? So I think you really want to look at your industry and accounts and find typically two groups of people, which is the same thing. Again, they have money left over in the budget and they're like, or they're got to really make an investment and now's the time. So they're going to spend this money or lose it by the end of the year. Those are our favorites.
Yeah.
Salespeople, right?
Yes.
Or they're like, we're going to get a new budget in January and we need to be talking to those people now so that we're not starting a conversation in January. So we can actually make progress on those deals and then say, we'll set this up for your 2025 budget.
I love it.
Yeah, I would agree too that a lot of times, like you said, we sort of see a mixture of both. We have those who come out of the gates who want to spend all their budget between January and March, and then it's all gone, and we'll see you next year. And then you have those who, like you said, are more conservative. They hold on to it towards the end, and there are those dollars to spend. And a lot of times it's going into these conversations with that open mind to think about where are your dollars now? How can we help you maximize those? Where are your pain points? How can we kind of help be a solution for those pain points? What's most important to you? And how can we kind of set you up for success? Like you said, whether it's training you at the end of this year to kind of learn for next year, or even starting off next year with a bang with a great old sales kickoff.
Yeah. So I want to look at there's a couple things that we talked about, and you mentioned one of the words was prioritization, whether you have stuff in the pipe and you're doing well, or you don't have anything. I want to talk about those ones you, sales rep, and you know yourself right now, and you're watching this because you really want to make some money this quarter. You're just frustrated. So what do you need to do, and how can we help that rep when it comes to prioritization?
Well, I would say we have a very famous acronym at Sandler called our CARE plan, which is where you look at your accounts and you prioritize which ones you want to K for keep, A, acquire, R, retain, and E, expand. So looking at your accounts through that lens of the CARE plan is really going to help you break out those targets into buckets. That's really going to help you focus on which ones are the priority to keep, which ones are possible to expand this year, which ones should you think about those renewals, that retention, and which ones maybe should you push to 2025 for acquiring.
Yeah.
So inside of the CARE model, I really love it because first thing we want to do, especially you mentioned in the economy, is when it's down or it's struggling and people are like, we need to keep. If we typically have a big end of the year, that means everybody's coming up for renewal on their annual contracts, right? So let's lock down, keep our house secure. Really, as a salesperson, we say you have two jobs. One is to keep your accounts. The other one is to plunder other people's accounts. You're very rarely finding somebody that's brand new to the industry.
Exactly.
Unless you're, in a startup, you're making a new market and stuff, right? So keeping is great. also recapturing any ones that we lost last year. And so we didn't get it. We know that contract is coming up. So the R can also be recapture, which is amazing. And I think those are great ones to go after too, because they have some sort of familiarity with you. Also the expand business. We talking to those. It's time for an annual review. How did we do this year? Did we help you? Did we get you a great ROI? Are there other departments that we should be talking to or get referrals there to other groups or other accounts that they work with? And then I think you work on those attain in a different bucket, which is like looking at a timeline and seeing how likely are they to move and doing some soul searching and qualifying on your own list. So like, let's look at this pipeline and how many of them are realistically going to close this year and get really accurate on that, because it's like a triage situation, right?
Yeah.
We can't waste ones on the we're never going to save this year.
You don't want them, no matter how bad. But let's keep those on the dream list.
So, but I want to think about this idea of the care. Is this initiative that I should be leading as an individual, or how much is it leadership responsibility to initiate this or to lead it off? Where do you feel? What's your thoughts on that?
I think it depends on the organization. So obviously smaller ones, if you're an individual rep and you're doing your own account plan, you certainly use care. And we encourage every rep to do that for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
In larger organizations, you may have teams specifically targeted on like maintaining accounts, right? Renewing and customer success. You may have other BDRs that are all on the attain and the acquire bucket. So I think it gets a little bit different, but you can do it at both levels. And it's really just great for account planning.
Yeah.
I would echo that and say that a lot of times, at Sandler, we believe in coaching and the sales managers and leaders playing a big part in the reinforcement in the sales team. So yes, it's incredibly important that you as a seller do those account plans and think about that care model. But I also think it's great for managers to be hands-on and to kind of see that vision and sometimes layer in their perspective, because sometimes they might have insight or perspective that you don't.
Yeah.
So it's always great to kind of have someone to bounce your ideas off of and kind of help you focus those priorities and start to get on that same page.
One of the things that I appreciated when I was an individual contributor carrying a bag, like I remember when, big shout out to Lori, if you're ever watching this, do you even know who I am anymore? But Lori was one of my sales managers. And one of the things that Lori did was she engaged with us. And when we did our training, it was one of the requirements of the local Sandler guy that the leaders were supposed to be a part of it. Right. And I sometimes find like, especially we get into situations like this where, and I don't want to take the onus off of the individual rep, and please don't take it that way. But I feel like sometimes if I am in a Hail Mary situation in Q4, I need to get some guidance. And oftentimes I feel like mom or dad, so to speak, that leader can really help me towards this is where you should be prioritizing, DK. This is some of the things you should be focusing on. Or not even telling me exactly, but coaching me, and like you're saying, and asking, who are you focusing on right now? Why did you pick those?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That why is so crucial.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it's hard. And sometimes you see it through one lens. And sometimes it does take someone outside to probe deeper, like why those accounts will tell me why you think that's going to be a strong bet, and that helps you be more honest.
I think there's two things there for me. Number one is you need objective feedback, which is why people come to Sandler a lot, especially for hiring and stuff, is I fell in love with this candidate. I think they're going to be the best salesperson ever. Can you verify that for me? And we're like, all right, well, let's slow back. Maybe we do an assessment or we do some objective interviews. Same thing happens with clients, right? You're like, I know this deal. We call it happy year.
I was just
I know this deal is going to close, right?
You just feel that feeling. It's like you're going to Disneyland. It's so close.
Having a manager or coach look at your pipeline really helps you look objective. The second thing I think they can do is help you bucket these in different buckets. And I think we like putting these things in boxes and categorizing them because it makes it easier for you to think about, which is maybe some of these are small. They'll click over. I can get a great account. It has a high probability of closing. I want to work those deals. The Hail Mary is not bad. It's great to take a Hail Mary, and you never know. Like, HubSpot wants to spend $1 million on something. They can do it. They can write that check.
If you guys do, please, link.
Link below.
Links below in the chat. We're happy to take that business, right? And so we're going to take a swing, but we're also not going to bet our year on that one account. And then there's usually some in between where you're like, I need some coaching, I need some help with the team, or it's going to take some effort, but we have some time right now to make that happen or set it up for success for next year. And so I think it's really about not putting all your eggs in one basket there.
Yeah, and I probably put you guys on the spot on this one. Do you have any stories that you don't have to tell names, but do you have any stories of people that you've worked with or organizations that applied Keep and saw any type of results or any impact? I mean, obviously people see impact from it, but were there any ones you can think of top of
Yeah, I think in the pandemic, the Keep category was huge, right? Because
Vital.
everybody is resetting
Yeah.
budgets, and they're going. So first thing is like, let's get relationships super tight. Let's prove ROI. I think is the biggest thing. So one of our clients that we had was asking, every rep that they were working with, how many deals have you closed because of this software? What are you doing? And like really tracking it. And they come to the leadership and they're like, look, we got you like 100x ROI this year. This is something you have to keep. Like you can't cut this budget this year, even if it's a bad year for you. And I think it's really about shoring up the ROI and the relationship.
Yeah.
I would say that, one of our current sales leaders, he's really great about those weekly one-on-ones and, getting really into each one of the accounts that there's potential for. And what he's sort of done is built his own scale of like percentage likelihood to close. And he lists reasons as to why we're focusing there, why we're seeking that much of our time on a deal, why we should invest that much of our energy into it, because it has X percentage chance to close.
Yeah.
And again, you talk about bringing that up to executive leadership, and it's really building that case. And what we've seen is that it's been super successful. And like you said, there have been a few Hail Marys in there where we didn't know. And, we were talking about it for 3 months past the original close date. But we actually started to do much better on them because, like you said, we were meeting internally, we were strategizing. And it was incredible to see that, when we used these categories and this model, it was translating into real change, real renewals, real business, and starting to really actually hit some of those accounts we'd been seeking for the past few years.
Yeah. I love this intentionality. I was talking to Cynthia Barnes, one of our friends here at Inbound, and one of the things we were talking about was how important intentions are. And I've done it where I've gone through a year and the pipe was good, and then I didn't need to be as intentional. I mean, I should have. I should have always been intentional. But you had opportunities, life's good.
Absolutely.
But when you get to this point, when really, like literally, you have the whole month of October, you have half of February, I'm thinking February, half of November, and half of December. You have 2 months. But when you're intentional, I've seen that I eliminated things that weren't important.
Right.
Maybe leaving for that lunch that I didn't necessarily need to go out for lunch, or maybe I'm wasting some time on some admin task that I didn't necessarily need to do, but I needed to be intentional with that 2 hours of prospecting or whatnot. And I think when you have that level that you're talking about and you're sharing here with these 2 clients, no wonder why we could see success. A great book that I absolutely love is The 12-Week Year. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've read that one.
Oh my gosh. I was just, as you were saying that, I was like, I wonder if he's read that book.
I love that book because the premise behind it is like, listen, these sales reps are doing stuff in like those 12 weeks that they would never ever have done before because there's just like there's this fire's lit. You only have you don't have infinite amount of time. You have a set amount of time. So you start really planning and every week become intentional. And now that keep concept becomes so much critical because I know exactly who I'm going to go after and focus on.
I wanted to add a thought there, which is we see people do like sales sprints.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, let's just call every single one of our customers and ask for referrals. Like if we got to hit the number, we still got time to hit the number. Like, let's go do it. And you can't do that all year round. You can't ask reps to make 100 calls a day, but you can do it for a day or a week and say like, let's get everybody in here and make something happen. I think some of the other stuff you can do at the end of the year, which is interesting, is call higher level decision makers.
Yeah.
That the admins, the reps, the managers, they're taking their holiday vacations. The owners, the CEOs, the presidents,
There's no vacation.
they answer the cell phone on the day after Thanksgiving. Like they're still working. And so we see a lot of high performing reps get a lot of really great results the week between Christmas and New Year's because they're getting a hold of decision makers.
Yeah, and he said the other part with that too is like you're thinking outside of the box,
Right.
and I've always learned that you zig when everyone else is zagging, right? So when everybody else is going off to happy hour, I can't tell you how much money you make in happy hour too, man, because so often people are going off doing that. If you're staying on the phone at 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, man, you got some change, you got some money in the bank.
The other thing I wanted to say is I think you're talking about working smart, not hard.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Real reps can take the time off because what they're doing is they're working the strategic accounts. they're not sending emails the day after Thanksgiving when their inbox is full of spam. Like they're picking up the phone to call, or they're playing golf and doing the happy hour strategic with other decision makers and networking, and they're working that holiday party, not drinking at the holiday party.
They're being creative with using every moment to their advantage. And sometimes, we see them almost rewrite their own playbook. I love it. It is something we refer to a lot as like, in sports or in football, you have those playbooks. But man, if it's the Super Bowl, to heck with the playbook. You got to get in for that final push. If it's, overtime, you got to get the win. You got to get the touchdown. So
I have emergency golf next Friday. I live in Florida, so we have emergency golf every so often.
Perfect.
So with some going on, and it's a client on the course too, so
we'll take it.
Justifiable. But let's talk about the talk track the last little bit here. So now I understand the challenges going into this. I came to this and I was really desperate. But then you talked me off the ledge. You gave me an idea of this keep care model of how I can, make sure I can focus those accounts. I understand prioritization now, and I understand that my leadership have helped me with accountability. But what do I say? Like, what do I say as I reach out to some of these accounts? Do I say, "Hi, I need the money," or
I really want more sale to hit the President's Club and go to Hawaii, please?
Make my day, sir.
I'll discount anything.
What's that talk track like when it comes towards those accounts that I may be going after?
I'll take first crack at this one because I love the reverse timeline technique from Sandler, which is,
can we role play that?
Looking to get results.
Role play? Can we role play? All right, so I'm the prospect.
Yeah. So
we didn't plan this. If it messes up, it's their fault. I'm just kidding.
You don't play in sales calls either, right? We can have all the scripts that we want, but the prospect doesn't have the other side of the script.
Let's do it.
So what I would say is something like, Donald, I know we were talking about getting your team results next year, and I know you want those as soon as possible.
Desperately.
If I was going to get that for you, when would you like them to start seeing progress, like start seeing results on the balance sheet?
I would definitely, if we're going to start next year, I would like to say the first month. January is going to be important for us. It tend to be one of a slower month, so.
And then typically in your business, when you make a decision like this, how long does it take? Do we have to go through legal approvals and stuff? Can you say yes and we can start the next day, or do we need to get on the salespeople's books and stuff?
Yeah, we probably should have some preparation, probably at least a couple of weeks, a few weeks with that. We have sometimes more people want to look at what we're spending nowadays.
And then if we work that back one more step, if you say, yes, we love this, we want to do it right now, do we need to get other decision makers involved? Is there multiple meetings, like contract process? How long does like a yes take on your side?
Depends. Carly, she tends to be a little picky, but she said she could pass it off depending if it's going to help us make money, if I can prove.
All right. So what I'm hearing is if we wanted to get started in January, we probably need to get like going to contract before Thanksgiving. Otherwise, we're not going to get started at the dates you want. Is that fair?
Fame will kick in.
All right. So enroll. There you go. What you see there is that when we work that reverse timeline backwards, it creates urgency. And I'm not pushing. I'm saying you can say, nope, you call me on January 3rd, I'll write a check, and we can start on the 4th. My salespeople aren't doing anything. Like, I'll say fine. But we know that's not going to be their answer, right? So if we start from when do you want to start, when do you want results, and then work backwards, it creates its own sense of urgency.
There's a couple things that you said in there that I want to point out. One, you asked me about what is it like for us in our process, and then you did a redundancy. Who else, even afterwards? And as soon as you told me, I know I've done this mistake before where you tell me like, we want to see a performance next year. I'm gonna come to my boss, Emily, and like, listen, this is what we got. We got Donald, and he's gonna buy stuff next year. They're gonna be ready. But then all of a sudden, somebody else swoop in and take their stuff because they were intentional, right? And they didn't do it happy years, and they just had that. They're methodical with it, and you didn't assume. I think that's the last part. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes we assume, like we know because this business did it this way, the other one's gonna do it that way. But we can't assume, especially in a critical stage like this.
Absolutely. And I would echo that. Something we refer to at Sandler as kind of the dummy curve a little bit is where we actually, I assume that, you're doing really well. It's, Q4, are you excited? Is your business doing great? You start to almost let them have the space to say, well, I'm kind of tired and the team is tired and the pipeline is goodness knows what's in it and trying to forecast is a nightmare. So you give them that space, but you sort of start out by playing the dummy a little bit. And, I assume, things are going great there. Your team, they're performing up to standards, and just give them the floor to like unleash some of that pain a little bit. Sometimes we refer to it as Sandler therapy a little bit. Sometimes these calls go a little more than an hour. And by the end of it, you're planning coffee breaks and, getting together, because honestly, it can be a really great way to kind of break down the barriers and give them that space to be honest and encourage them to feel like, they can be open with you. And sometimes building that relationship, I love seeing our BDRs do that, because so much of the time, Q4 pressure, people feel like you're just trying to get in a last sell, and sort of breaking those barriers can add that human relationship element back into it, and sometimes help them really realize and reflect on the issues they have. And by the end of it, well, it sounds like you do need some training. Let's talk about that next week.
Yeah.
There's your next step.
I love it. You're going to say something like that?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I think no matter which, rep you are, the one that hasn't hit the numbers or the one that has, you have to act like you're the rep who hit the numbers, that you're financially independent. You don't need the business. I don't care what your answers are to this question. You tell me whether you want results. You tell me how bad your situation is. We always believe at Sandler, like, we have the cure for like cancer here. We have something huge that is offering tremendous value to them. They're not doing us a favor by buying from us. We're here to help them, and we believe in what we do. We're going to make a difference. So it's up to you how soon you want that difference. If you're healthy and you don't have cancer, you're good to go. Great. Call me when you need me. Yeah. If you got a problem, I want to help you now. I don't want to have you living with cancer right now. So I think my job is to ask you the questions to see if you're qualified or not, but it's not my job to beg. There's nothing I can do to convince you that you need my help.
Yeah.
Right? But it's that confidence that if you do, we have it, and we'll help you move as fast or as slow as you want to get there.
Two things that I've taught over the years, and I think it permeated from that early stage, was this idea of the moral obligation. We have a moral obligation to share something that works, that definitely helps us. And then the definition of sales, one of my Sandler trainer back in the days, he had his definition. And the way that I've adopted it over the years to mine is like, my job is not to convince you to do anything. My job is to help educate you enough that you convince yourself, because it makes so much sense to do something that's in your interests. And then we get compensated as well if it works for you.
I'll give you the official Sandler rules if you want. The ethical selling model is it's unethical to sell somebody something they don't need, right? But it's also unethical to not sell somebody something that they do need.
Yeah.
Right. So it's our obligation in what you said, that moral obligation, to provide them help if they need it. The other side of the definition of success that I always love from Sandler is our job is to create an atmosphere and environment that allows the customer to buy while the salesperson stays out of the way. So like, our job is not to influence. We don't want to throw roadblocks. We want to get stuff out of their way. We want to remove roadblocks, build consensus, help them if it's the right thing to do to get to a yes, but our job is not to push them.
Yeah, so true. I so love this. All right, we're going to get ready to just one final thought, because you can't have any type of event these days, or I think it's a rule this year at Inbound that every session we have to mention AI. So, I'm just kidding. So, but seriously though, the way I see, especially with like Keep, how do you guys see AI with Care helping us with the concept like care? Because I can easily see how AI could assist us to make sure we focus on those prioritization, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think HubSpot's done that so well in the way that it's able to really look at these accounts in multiple dimensions, the multiverse of HubSpot, we say, and really giving it this intentional look at your accounts, this depth to kind of understand, hey, like, there's been X amount of engagement. These should be the ones I really prioritize. And whatever matters to you, whatever those goals of engagement look like, that's going to help you kind of look at a bird's eye view and see which ones raise to the top and which you should focus on. And I feel like when it comes to the messaging, no one does it better AI-wise than HubSpot right now. The way that it's able to rewrite and understand these accounts and enrich them, and then help you tailor messages to that company, to that industry, to personas. I mean, how much better can you get? And that's all with the help of AI. So better enrichment and much more amplification of it.
Emily, if you haven't noticed, is our HubSpot hero. She is the one that's doing all the data behind the scenes.
Number one fan.
That's great to assist sellers on which accounts to call and set up different triggers and sequences to put stuff on their calendar and be like, reach out to this one. The way I use it as the content person or as the sales trainer, I think about how do we supplement the information that we have. So, tell me about this company. Ask ChatGPT. Tell me all about this. What are the common pain points of an SVP of sales in an enterprise organization? And list those out. Prepare me for a call. Let me role play with an AI robot and get better. I don't think we're at a place where AI can sell for us, but what it can do is help us practice our scripts, give us a good, ugly first draft, and then we use our human sellers when it comes to human interaction to use that data to ask really great questions, have a good session face-to-face with a client, but not like just sending a robot out there to close stuff in the fourth quarter. I don't think we're there yet.
Not yet. That'll be next year at Inbound, so tune in.
Can't wait to have you. Well, speaking about next year, we're going to wrap up here, but if folks are out there listening to this, they really enjoyed the conversation, they're getting ready to hit this Q4, and they want to connect with you guys, what's the best way for them to go about connecting with you guys?
Sandler.com is the website. Yeah. You can click find a training location. We have over 200 in local areas. We also have an enterprise team that Emily works on. So if you have multiple locations or all the way up to Fortune 500 companies like HubSpot, we've helped train their sales teams. And then, of course, you're listening to a sales podcast. I host the How to Succeed podcast on, Spotify, iTunes, all the major podcast channels. Love to have you check out that show too.
We do have a virtual summit coming up too. So if you want to tune in and get a taste of the Sandler experience, that's going to be on October 9th. It's totally free, but it's a really great way to experience Sandler firsthand and really start to see the insights and the techniques, the psychology, and how we are blending AI with the humanity that does exist in our sellers. So I think it'll be something you don't want to miss, and we invite you to join us.
As always, we appreciate you all. Go ahead and take these things, apply them. We have the links down in the show notes. We're so excited to have you with us. Go out, raise your level of thinking, and do big things. See you on the next one.
Ooh-wee, wasn't that good? Emily, Mike, I appreciate you. If you want to connect with them, you can find a link down in the show notes and take advantage of the free gift they're giving us. You can get a link to that as well in the show notes. As always, I'm telling you, man, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. If you're struggling this Q4 and you're trying to figure out how to kick it off well or to jump into the new year, check out our mastermind. Go to thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind, and we'll help you to set goals to be able to identify, to work through some of those deals, some of those opportunities. They're small groups, so you're looking at about 12 sellers that you're going to be in a group with, in a cohort, and you're going to be led by me. It's not a training program, but we're going to help you to set goals, break down those goals, and attack micro goals every single week, so you can hit those hit your quota numbers and to shatter your quota like some of our clients did. If you listen to our past episode, listen, check out the free gift they're giving you. Check out our mastermind. Would love to have you. As always, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. Raise your level of thinking and go out and do big things. See you on the next one.